Well, oopsie daisy. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Monday Morning with Mao. There was a link issue, so we're just going to wait a few more minutes because I just tweeted it out. The link changed. So we have Comrade Zoo on, who I'm going to put on stream right now. But welcome. How are you doing? Hi, Shadi Haza. How are you doing? What's up?
Oh, how about you guys?
Hold on. Oops, I don't have my headset on yet. It's Monday morning, and I have not had my coffee yet. So,
Oh, it's Monday
hi.
morning.
Good
What do you
morning.
mean it's oh, for me, it's Monday's night.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Yeah, for you, it's Monday morning. For me, it's Monday's night.
Yep, it's Monday night for you. It's Monday morning for me, and for some people, it's Monday afternoon. If it, so, be sure to hit like and subscribe and click on the bell so you get notifications. And please tweet out the link to your friends. So, how are you doing? And what are you thinking about?
Cause now they're just talking about revolution. I will just go straight to the topic. Cause talking about revolution, I already saw too many talks on internet, but
Oh,
without the,
okay, got it.
but without any real action.
Correct. Because they don't know where to even begin.
So just to think about when was last time you saw some people, those like actors, really go to the mass to talk to them and do any kind of uprising things. In the West, I never see it.
I'm sorry, can you repeat what you said?
So when was last time you
Yeah.
saw those real activists go to the mass to organize them together
Yes,
to do
correct.
an uprising thing? When they had the guts to pick up a gun to fight for their own interests.
Yes.
I never seen this. I've never seen this in history.
Okay. Well, okay. It has happened a few times in history. So it happened with the Black Panthers, and they actually
Yeah.
went to Mao, but then they all got killed. So
Yeah, and
it's
the thing is, they want to protect their own community. That's what I learned.
Black Panthers.
Like Black Panthers, of course, I talked to some people from America. They told me Black Panthers, they really want to protect them, their own community.
Uh
They
huh.
and the black race. Their their target is not the whole system. Because talk about real revolution, I always think of this. You need to change the whole system
Yes, you need to
to
change
cut down
everything in the system.
the whole system.
Yeah. Okay. I
And
have one.
when the capitalism still works, still there, the racial issue will never go away. You can put it low for a few times, but it will always go back.
Exactly. Because power comes from the barrel of a gun, I guess.
The barrel gun also they don't have money. They talking about their different classes. Okay, those those Black Panthers, they don't have money. They don't have enough gun. They have like a gun, but not like a big en- they're not big enough to against the government.
You're right. I mean, but I'm just saying that even in the infancy, okay. So every movement starts at its infancy. Like Kim Il Sung started at a schoolhouse, and he had 5 people in his first meeting.
Yeah,
So even and I wait, but he okay. So actually, never. He started under Imperial Japan, and he had to do it under secrecy. But it seems like in the US, they have not been able to keep it clandestine under the watch of the US state to get it past the infancy part.
but the thing is this. Okay, Isha. Just talking about this, talking about how to make a revolution work. Because when we talk about revolution, talk. But we didn't talk. We just talk about why we need a revolution. But when was last time you saw some people talking to you about how to make a revolution work?
Well, okay. So they've first of all they've never done this, but I wouldn't also. I guess I'm scared to do it in public in America because I know what happens when that happens if you make it work.
Yeah,
But the second part, hold on. Can I ask you a question?
yeah,
Okay, so in okay, so the so in an imperial hegemony, like for example, like with Germany, it seemed like Germany never had a revolution. Basically, they needed the Soviets to come and plant the Reichstag flag on sorry, their flag on the Reichstag. So how likely is it that there can even okay so what do they mean by like is it possible even and what did Mao think about the possibility of anything useful happening in the imperial core?
talking about this, okay, we all know this. Back to 1927 when CPC was just founded, CP didn't have as much power as today. Today we do, right? Back to those, even the whole China was weak. Not to mention CPC. Just if you just talk about the power, CPC would have no chance to win.
Correct. It was like
But the thing is, CPC always believe the power of people. So
okay,
just like what I told you last time, your government, those imperialist government, they are not afraid of the people.
correct.
What they are afraid of is the military organized people.
Exactly. They're afraid of massively organized people, and that's why they kill all movements in their infancy very early on.
No, then you also make some word, a key word. Militarily organized people.
Uh,
You have, you have,
how?
you have. Just think about it. Just like a when Mao organized, just did the uprising. He went to the North Mountain. He actually built a regime there.
What did he
They
do?
had, he actually built a regime, the Soviet regime there.
Okay.
In the, in that area, that area was was run by CPC.
Okay.
It's like the small state in a big state.
Got it.
They built their own regime. They had their own army, Red Army.
Yep. The PLA.
They were called the Red Army. They were not called the PIA, back to those days.
Oh, okay.
But they were called the Red Army. Even that's why they were called the Red Bandits
Ah, Red
or
Bandits. Yes.
or CPC Bandits or Communist Bandits by KMT or Chiang Kai-shek.
Yep. Okay. Got it. But I guess okay. So what I understand what Mao did, but hold on. But still, oh, wait. You lived in the U.S. before, right?
No, I haven't been to US.
Okay. Okay. Never mind. If you haven't been to the U.S., I guess where do we start? So, have you been to Japan? Maybe.
No,
Oh God.
no.
Okay. Okay. So the main thing is that the conditions in the U.S. is not as it. Oh, I don't even know where to start. Okay. The
Okay,
first thing.
I know your point. Okay, you want to tell me like the condition in US or in those Western countries is not because the government is quite stupid, and when you want to make a revolution, they will always want to kill you,
Yeah.
like
No. No.
they
No. No. No.
literally
No.
kill you.
Yeah. Literally kill you. That's the first one. But the thing is that I don't think. Okay. In order to succeed, you need. Okay. Wait. How many people were in the PL? Well, no. No. Okay. Hold on.
When CPUC was just founded, there are only 60 people. Some people
Okay.
say it's 53, some people say it's 54.
Okay, so the first thing is I think maybe people won't understand this, but I believe that in the rural areas, the CPC set up like a parallel state like a apparatus, like where they gave like protection from. Uh, so is okay. So how would we go about even starting this in the U.S. when instead of like having illiterate peasants who don't know how to read and write, like we have people who are, for lack of a better word, extremely brainwashed.
So the thing is, talking about the brainwash or none, I would consider that one none. Okay, they are not like a brainwash. Just like when was last time when we talked, you said you went to the Middle West,
Yeah.
and the people there are smart.
Yes, they
They know
are.
what happened. They know
Yes.
what happened.
Yes. A lot of them do.
They know what happened. There's no chance they are brainwashed.
Correct.
They just they just don't think that the time is right.
You're right. Like in West Virginia, in like yeah, in the really, really, really yes, there are extreme regions of extreme poverty within the U.S. where yes, you're right. So that's the weakest link, I guess, and that's where people would start.
Yeah. I agree with this. I agree with this also. Also, I believe in one thing. When you start revolution, never start in the city.
Correct.
Never, never, never start in the city. When you start, you just move to the countryside.
Yep.
Then you can hide yourself.
That's right.
You do the guerrilla thing.
So yeah, okay. So yes, there is a big population of people in the in various places where it more or less looks like there are areas in America that looks like just like a third world country. Like I've seen it in South Carolina, Alabama, even in some parts in Michigan. Even it's very in South Carolina. I was shocked at how many places look like a third world country.
If they don't have water, they don't have clean water, is that?
Will they have cholera back again? And yeah, so I guess okay, so that makes sense. So it should be in the states that is known as the Bible
Yes.
Belt.
Bible Belt, Rust Belt. I told you last time, Bible Belt and Rust Belt.
Yeah, got it. Uh, okay, so then continue with what you want. Okay, so now okay, so continue with what people I guess should be doing.
So people should be organized.
What does that mean? Okay, so somebody who's like pretend we're aliens from space. So by organizing around, like, what is the first thing is like, what service should people provide to that community, and how?
First of all, you should improve their living standard. What's that? Uh-oh.
Okay, sorry.
First of all, when they are in extreme poverty, you should
Uh-huh.
organize them and give them hope and
Okay.
show them what socialism means, what a socialist country means, what a socialist society, how a socialist society works, and give them hope. Because if they don't have help, there are those desperate people who will not fight for you. Because they are
Correct.
not, actually they are not fighting for you. You have to make them understand. They are not fighting for you. They are fighting for themselves, for their
Yes.
own life, for their own loved one, for their own child, for their grandchildren.
Okay, hold on. I have a question. So there are about 2 million people in American prisons. And most of them are there not because they committed a crime, but just because they're poor.
So,
And there are maybe approximately 6 million people in America who are in some kind of jail facility or something like that. But it is a prison, so everything is very restricted. But I think there is a lot of potential. Like if you just, I literally believe that if you can like somehow get them copies of Lenin's collected works, they'll be able to figure out. So how do we reach out to them?
because I believe a lot of people there are Christian. Yeah, you can always like reach them, have some access to them, with like a priest or God's father something like this.
Ah, okay.
Also, not only them. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, for the last time when I checked, according to Feeding America, there are 15 minutes something American people are suffering from food insecure.
More than that, like 30 million people.
No, 15 minutes, 50, 50, 50,
50.
not
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I thought you said 1 5. Yes, 15 million. Yes.
50,
Sorry, 50.
15 minutes something.
Yeah.
Not just 50, 50 minutes, 50 something minutes.
Correct.
Then those people are the potential power for revolution as well. Because
Ah,
the situation is getting worse. You have to get this. No matter how you look at it, the situation is getting worse. Remember yesterday I sent you a link
yep.
from
And
Jim,
in
Jim
for
Retters.
yeah, he was an investor and he wanted to invest in some sort of food
Agriculture, agriculture,
commodities
agriculture. Just think about it. Why would he want to invest in food community?
because the price of food is going to go up because the supply is going to go down because there's going to be some
Uh,
yeah.
Food shortage, aka just to cut it straight. There will be a serious food shortage, which means a big starvation.
Exactly.
Remember, I remember it's going to be like last year.
Yep.
I talked about this. I already talked about this, right? I said that there will be a mass inflation and mass starvation.
Yes.
Now it's coming. We just haven't hit the highest point, but that's how it started. You can see it. And
It,
those people who are starving is our potential power. All those events who are
yeah.
suffering.
Hold on 1 second. On on Saturday on the stream, I was looking at this like Washington Post article. It's a really stupid article. Basically, it was about how so many people were like having signs that said "F Joe Biden," and so that article, although it was like the Washington Post being really, really, really stupid. Well, no, just like what are they doing? They're like, how dare they? But the thing is that it shows that there's a big dissatisfaction, even amongst what people know as middle class people, uh, with the what is known as I guess with whatever they see is going on. So I see so many yeah, like apparently there are signs in like Boise, like in rural areas in Idaho and stuff, and they all have things like F Joe Biden, and they tried to spin it as, oh, it's because of Trump, but it's not just because of Trump. It's because they're really unhappy with life.
It has nothing to do with Trump, okay?
Exactly. It has to do with how unhappy their life is.
Yeah, the living stand, okay?
Exactly.
Just think about it. If you are middle class, you work hard every day.
Mm-hmm.
But the real situation is those poor people, they got some payment like 2,400 per month, right?
Yeah.
Just just staying at home,
Yep.
and the cost like Trump, like the government, not just Trump government,
No,
even
and
Biden government.
no,
I'm
no,
just thinking American government printing money like it's not tomorrow, which caused a big inflation. Well, that's just leading your living standard getting worse and worse. How would you be happy?
I
Well,
don't know.
I asked one of my friends like how the food price is in America. He told me like when last time he went to the food market, he saw he saw beef about like 30 something bucks.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just a beef from food markets, 30 something dollar.
Mm-hmm.
You have to cook it. It's not like served in the restaurant. I was like, this price is crazy.
Okay. So the thing is that there isn't. It even gets worse in that there isn't like there isn't an easy way for like there is no okay. So where do we start? There actually isn't an easy way to move around in the rural areas because there's no public transportation, and it's been designed to keep people isolated from each other because it's incredibly hard. So,
Of course, you want you guys to be isolated, okay? If
what
you guys are not, of course, the American government wanted you guys isolated. It can make sense.
exactly? So
It can
that
make
makes it.
sense.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
If you guys are organized, they will be in big trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they've spent the past 100 years. Like, I was just thinking about it. They've literally spent the biggest threat to national security is the illiterate peasant. And that's been who
Yeah.
they've been waging a war for the past. I was looking at some footage from Vietnam because of Colin Powell. And I'm like, okay, so in the US, they've been basically, it just hit me that, oh, they've been literally waging a war on the illiterate peasant for the past 100 years.
Yeah, from China to Vietnam,
From Russia,
then
it actually began with like
yeah,
Russia,
with Russia.
Russia to
No,
China to Vietnam.
they will call themselves the Union when back to those days, right?
Oh yeah, sorry. But
The
okay.
Union, China, Vietnam, Iraq,
Mhm.
and Afghanistan.
Exactly. But then there's Indonesia, where they just like
Oh, Indonesia. Oh, yeah.
Sukarno wanted to make an alliance with Mao, and then they overthrew Sukarno for Suharto, and he like there were literally the river turned. I forgot what the river name is in Indonesia, but the some guy who worked at the British embassy said that the rivers literally turned red with
Yeah.
blood. And
A lot
over
of Chinese people were killed.
what's it called?
A lot of Chinese people were killed in during that thing.
Oh yeah.
It
The
was a
sea.
massacre.
Exactly. And then and then there's Cuba, Nicaragua with the Contras, Panama. It's yeah, literally
Venezuela.
Venezuela,
Venezuela, yeah. So you
Colombia.
know why? You know why? If
No.
those revolutions really works like what happened in what has been happening in China. It's the basic center example
Oh,
to
hold
show
on.
American people.
Give me
It
one
really
second.
works.
I'm going to continue to talk, and I'm going to actually put this video up. You're gonna like this. Okay. Can you talk? So they are. You're saying that they're most violent for revolutions inside of the Americas. Can you explain why?
No, as well, I haven't seen any real revolution which involves like a real violence to overthrow the government and build their own regime in
Yeah,
America.
yeah. Hold on.
Even Black Panther.
Okay, hold on. Oh, okay, let's play this. So it happened in Grenada.
They give all kinds of reasons and excuses, some of them credible, some utter rubbish. There's an interesting one that we saw very recently in a secret report of the State Department. I want to tell you about that one, so you can reflect on that one. That secret report made this point, that Grenada is different to Cuba and Nicaragua. And the Grenada Revolution is in one sense even worse, I'm using their language, than the Cuban and Nicaraguan revolutions, because the people of Grenada and the leadership of Grenada speaks English and therefore can communicate directly to the people of the United States.
You muted yourself. You muted yourself, Isha.
Okay, Grenada is a small island. It has about 100,000 people. And in 1979, they had a communist revolution, and this was their leader, Maurice Bishop. But hold on, let me show you the even more horrific, even more. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me show you the even more. Not horrific, but shock. Not. I don't know what to say. I'll give me 1 minute. But can you talk about what you think of? Give me 1 second. I found. Okay. Let's see. Do you know? Oh, by the way, somebody asked you if you know what happened in Sudan.
Oh, that's terrorist thing. some kidnapping, I saw that on news.
What
Like
happened?
US embassy already withdraw. Chinese embassy is still there.
So what happened? I don't understand.
They said it's a terrorist attack something.
Who are they attacking?
Sometimes we go something like this. Wait a minute, let me just check it on the American. I saw American embassy already withdraw. They already put back. The Chinese embassy is still there.
In Sudan.
In Sudan. That's what I heard.
Okay. And so a terrorist attack happened
But
today?
no, but they like the president or the minister of Sudan got kidnapped by some unidentified military force.
Oh wow. Okay.
So basically, it's unrest.
Okay, now I found the part 2. Hold on. I found part 2. Okay. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me. Oh, fudge. Okay. Okay. I found part 2. Give me 1 second. Okay, so let me share this part. This is really the best part. It actually literally agrees with what you essentially said about a minute ago. Okay. Can you see this?
I want to tell you what that same report also said. And said that also made us very dangerous. And that is that the people of Grenada and the leadership of Grenada are predominantly black. They said that 95% of our population is black, and they had a correct statistic. And if we have 95% of predominantly African origin in our country, then we can have a dangerous appeal to 30 million black people in the United States.
Yeah, he's just like that's success. Just an example to show
Yeah.
African people they can make this work. Just like what has happened in China. Just an example to the world.
Yes.
Socialism works.
It works very well for most people. It doesn't work for corporations, but it works really well for people, and it works so well that people. If you just have to look at Vietnam, Cambodia. You'll see how well it works. But you're right. That's why they get very violent.
Look at China and India.
Yeah, China and India is good to look at. Like they're both started about the same time, and look at how different they are. China took almost like 900 million people out of poverty. India didn't. Yeah.
Now our GDP was even lower than India's GDP back to 1949. Now our GDP is about 5 times.
Yeah, no, China was worse off than India in 1947, 8 or 9. And China also had more illiteracy than India. But then, you guys are now 5 times the size. The people are like, I think you have 1.3 billion, maybe a little more people.
Almost the same. Level.
Almost the same, yeah. But it seemed, the economy is 5 times bigger. Also 900 million people were lifted out of poverty, and in India we still have slaves mining mica. There are thousands of other things going on. Let's see, what else?
The literacy rate. Now
the literacy rate is 0 in China.
Almost 0. I'm not sure. But I would say it's almost 0.
It's very close to. In India, it's still very high. So depending on which region, in some areas the illiteracy rate can go up to like 60%, and in most areas it's about 40%.
Yeah, even the sense of the literacy and the illiteracy is quite funny in India. Because you're from India, you should know this. There are like dozens of languages, not 20 something different language in India. As
Yeah.
long as you can just write and read it, your own name in one language, you are not illiterate.
Correct. And even then, we have so it's actually the real illiteracy. There's only, by the way, there's only one state in India that eliminated illiteracy, and that is Kerala. And guess who's ruled in Kerala?
Okay, now the organization,
The Communist Party.
Communist Party.
Exactly.
What Communist Party? I remember there are two Communist parties.
I think it's the Marxist-Leninist Communist Party is the one that rules in Kerala. There's a region in Madhya Pradesh that the Naxalites have been controlling for a while, forever, basically, since the start. And I think they might be Maoist. But there are three communist parties in India that have seats in office. One is the CPI, the Marxist-Leninist, and then there's the CPI Maoist, and then the third one, I can't remember what it is.
Because I know there are seven of them.
Oh, in Bengal, I believe. Yeah. So I think, so there are three communist parties that have seats in various places. But like I said, the only state that actually eliminated illiteracy is Kerala, and they're communist.
Yeah. Of course, I don't know about it. I don't know whether you guys know, but from my personal knowledge, like the first thing for all socialist countries to do is just teach people how to read.
Yep. That's exactly.
Even China, Vietnam, even North Korea. I haven't seen wet dressing.
I'm sorry.
Almost all those countries.
Yeah. In Korea, it was just one Korea back then. I read Kim Il Sun's memoirs. He's a very good writer, and he's such a good people person. He remembers a lot of details, so I love his book. It's very long, but it's worth it. But yeah, you're right. Right. All of them worked on literacy first because that's very important. So I guess let's see. So I have okay. I'm going to ask you another. Hold on. Okay. Okay. So they asked you a follow-up question. I'm sorry. The news says it's the military versus democracy, and they don't mention. Do you know anything about this? Which country are you talking about, Alejandro?
Probably Sudan.
Oh, it's still Sudan. Okay. Do you know that?
Talking about those things, because America already with 2 minutes of regime change, so I don't even because I haven't seen the background of those things.
Okay, so now instead of like America, okay, can we actually talk about what they did in China, like step by step, so people can see like it in a concrete way? Or okay, so let's say that I was like a member of the CPC in say 1925. What would I have been doing?
You will be doing nothing. Because CPC was founded in 1927.
Okay, suppose I'm a member of. Wait. Then how did the Chinese Communist Party celebrate its 100-year anniversary in July?
So, July is like Army is considered. Army was founded in 1927.
Okay, got it. Okay, so let's say that I'm a member of the CPC in 1930 in China. Pick wherever the region. What would I have been doing every day?
But those days you will just go to reach the mass, reach the people, especially the workers, because at the first time at the beginning.
Okay, so they actually went to the urban proletariat.
No, they went to the workers.
The people in the cities or in the countryside?
In the city.
Okay, so where like were the workers I know in Russia what they were doing, but in China, like in Russia, workers didn't have a house, so they had to live in these they called them like company barracks, where the corporation like just gave them a place to stay and they had to stay there. So
almost the same.
okay,
It's a
so
little work. whatever in Shanghai, it's what they call 棚户区. Basically, like those regime which is for people. You can always find some workers there, and the living standard is like extremely low. They go to the mass. They go even those like
Hold on, don't say. Okay, don't say go to the mass. Okay, so because people don't have a concrete. Okay, so now they. Okay, so let's say that there are workers in about like 1,000 workers in some factory in Shanghai. So, like, how would they get into the factory? And did the factory have armed guards? Like, what did they do to get into the factory?
Because they know they have some connection. Because those workers, those are not bourgeoisie. They are working class. They know those people. They like they
Okay,
got induced by the people they trust, and then they spread their idea.
okay, hold on. So they went in to the factory,
Yeah.
and so maybe like would they have spoken about strikes, or did they speak about maybe higher wage? Like, what was the first thing they did to? I know you so I guess would they have like okay, let me just tell you what Lenin did, and then you can see if the CPC did the same thing. Okay, so what the Bolsheviks did was that they went to the factory and they wrote they first had these study circles, which is literally meaning how to teach workers how to read. And then once they could read, they wrote literature about what the mill owner was like, about the Thornton mills and how much the British mill owners were making and how much they were paying the weavers and the whatever else they do in what do you call those, the loom people. And then after that, they got all the workers to then agree to do a strike. So did the CPC do something similar like that?
Not exactly similar. It's not exactly similar. Because back to those days, just different than Russia. Because even before the Soviet Revolution, Russia was a strong country. It did join the World War One. And then they choose the side with British and France and Italy to fight against Germany. But to those days, China was half colony. We they didn't have to fight with the domestic interests, also those foreign interests. So the first machine, the top priority for them is to save China. But to those days, they went to those countries, they went to those factories, because Chinese people know, Chinese people, those workers, they knew they're fucked. They got ripped off by the factory owner, by the bourgeoisie, by those foreign interests. They made a strike. Remember after World War One, there's a big movement in China. So workers they supported the students to get. They did the same thing there. But it is that part then to make a difference. And two, Mao Zedong went to the Jinggangshan mountain to build his own regime. I saw that as a real turning point of Chinese revolution.
In Mao's collected works, it seems like there's a first revolutionary period and something happened, and then they regrouped for the second revolutionary period. Oh, the Japanese invasion.
Not that one, not that one. It's
Oh,
something else.
okay.
Oh, okay. Let me explain. Okay. Just don't mute yourself.
No, I have to mute myself, or else you're gonna get an echo.
Okay. Just just before that, it's called the young government. The Not only the CPC, even the KMT have to fight the young government. So Sun Yat-sen organized an army to fight the Beiyang. CPC they actually worked with Sun Yat-sen until Chiang Kai-shek betrayed the revolution. That was in April 12th, just like every day, hundreds of thousands of CPC members got killed on the street without even sentence. As long as you were found a CPC member, let's say they will chop your head off.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Then until like after that, cause back to those days, we call it like a right wing surrounded them. Then it was proven totally wrong, and they start to decide to like wage a real revolution, the uprising things. 朱德 make a revolution in Nanchang, October 1st. It's like the birthday for it's like the birthday of PRA. It's to honor that uprising. And Mao also organized the uprising in Changsha. And it turned out because they can make the revolution start, they can start uprising, but they cannot like occupy the city. You might just attack the city. You can occupy the city for a while, but you cannot keep it. Just like what I said last time. So Mao went to Dingwanshan Mountain, where the where the richest part of like a Chiang Kai-shek government. He built his own regime and start to fight against TNT and win like several times.
Wow. That's, by the way, I just found a letter from Mao called "A Single Spark Can Start a Fire." Would you mind if we read it?
You can read it, but it's a different period.
I know, but it kind of what happens with people is that even if it's a different period, there's no concrete, like, the problem is people need to understand that it is a logistical process and they need to figure out all the thought. Yeah. So it helps them understand that. Oopsie daisy. Yeah. Let's see. Let me send everyone this link. Okay. So let me read it, and please interrupt to comment. A single spark can start a prairie fire. Some comrades in our party still do not know how to appraise the current situation correctly and how to settle the untended question of what action to take. Though they believe a revolutionary high tide is inevitable, they do not believe it to be imminent. Therefore, they disapprove of a plan to take Kiangsi and only approve of rowing guerrilla attacks in 3 areas of the border of, how do you pronounce this?
How to spell?
Fukaien. Kaien. Fukian and Fukian and okay. Okay, Kwangtung? Guangdong? Kiangsi?
Canton. Have you heard of Cantonese?
Huh?
Have you heard of Cantonese?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, that's the dialect was spoken in Guangdong province.
Okay. At the same time, they do not have a deep understanding of what it means to establish red political power in the guerrilla areas. They do not have a deep understanding of the idea of accelerating the nationwide revolutionary high tide through the consolidation and expansion of red political power. They seem to think that since the revolutionary high tide is still remote, it will be labor lost to establish political power by hard work. America. Instead, they want to extend our political influence through easier methods of roving guerrilla actions. And once the mass throughout the country have been won over, more or less won over, they want to launch a nationwide armed insurrection with the participation of the Red Army, would become the Great Nationwide Revolution. Their theory is that we must first win over the masses on a countrywide scale in all regions and then establish political power does not accord with the actual state of the Chinese Revolution. This theory derives mainly from the failure to understand clearly that China is a semi-colonial country for which many imperial powers are contending. If one clearly understands this, one will understand why the unusual phenomenon of a prolonged and tangled warfare with the,
What happened?
oh no, I thought you had a comment. Okay.
No.
Prolonged and tangled warfare within the rural classes is to be found in China. Why is this warfare steadily and growing fiercer and spreading, and why is there never a unified regime? Oh, this is because it's kind of like in Afghanistan, when you have many imperial powers flooding arms to different warlords, it's going to be like fragmented and like, okay, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Also, I want to point something else. Okay, in Chinese philosophy, we have a saying: if when there's a difficult thing, and you start to do it, it will be easy eventually. If
Okay.
there's easy thing, and you never do it, it will be difficult in the end.
Wait, I didn't understand the saying at all. I'm sorry.
So just think about it. Cause okay, let me repeat. There are two things. One of those are easy, and one of them are difficult things. When you start to do that difficult thing, it will become easy because you do it like again, again, and
Oh,
again.
because of the practice. Okay, got it.
And the effort you put on, it will become easy in the end, eventually. But talking about the easy thing, if you just never do that easy thing, no matter how easy it is, it will be difficult because you will never achieve it. You will never get it done.
Ah, so that's a very Oh, hold on, 1 second. Come in.
Where's mommy?
Sorry, it's my niece. I don't know. She probably went to drop them off.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, that was my niece. She has a day off from school. Okay, go ahead.
So that's a similar philosophy. So we know the revolution is hard. Okay. We know it costs a bigger sacrifice. But if you just don't do it, you will never get it done. Revolution can only get it done like after you start it.
I
Just
see.
everything else.
Okay, this theory. Okay, so sorry, hold on. Okay, this theory derives mainly from the failure. Okay, no, I got it. If one clearly understands this, one will understand first why the unusual phenomenon of prolonged and tangled warfare within the ruling classes is only to be found in China, and why this warfare is steadily growing fiercer and spreading, and why there is never a unified regime. Secondly, one will understand the gravity of the peasant problem and hence why the rural uprisings have developed on the present countrywide scale. Thirdly, one will understand the correctness of the slogan of workers and peasants, democratic political power. Fourthly, one will understand another unusual phenomenon which is also absent outside of China, and which follows from the first, that in China alone there is a prolonged, tangled warfare within the ruling classes, namely the existence and development of the Red Army and the guerrilla forces, and together with them the existence of and development of small red areas encircled by the White regime. The White Army is the reactionary landlord army, right?
No, not only like the Chiang Kai-shek.
Okay, but by the way, they want to crowd. Okay, we'll set up a crowd fund for a mic for Comrade Zoe for next week. Okay, I'll set it up. Okay, so now let's see the in. Okay. Fifthly, one will understand in the semi-colonial China the establishment and expansion of the Red Army, the guerrilla forces, and the red areas is a highest form of peasant struggle under the leadership of the proletariat. The inevitable outcome of the growth of the semi-colonial peasant struggle, and undoubtedly the most important factor in accelerating the revolutionary high tide throughout the country. And sixthly, one will also understand that the policy which merely calls for roving guerrilla actions cannot accomplish the task of accelerating the nationwide revolutionary high tide. While the kind of policy adopted by Chu Te and Mao Zedong, no, I'm confused. Okay. And by Fang Chi-min is undoubtedly correct. That is the policy of establishing base areas of systematically setting up political power, of deepening the agrarian revolution, of expanding the people's armed force by a comprehensive process of building up first the township Red Guards, and then the district Red Guards, and then the county Red Guards, then the local Red Army troops, all the way up to the regular Red Army troops, of spreading political power by advancing in a series of waves. Thus, only thus it is possible.
You see, I think I told you it's all you when you want to make a revolution work, you should always have your own army.
Yes. And and the thing I noticed is that they first set it up in like township. So it was a small, like they start. It's like a state, like a ladder where they went from like they went from ladder to ladder. So then they consolidated all the township armies for the district armies, and then they consolidated the district for the county, and then eventually they went from county to nation.
To county to province.
Sorry, county to province. To nation.
To nation. Just like you just like level up.
Yep. So kind of like a video game.
Yes, kind of video game, but the thing is, if you don't start, you can never get this job done.
Okay. We will definitely fix the mic issue for next week. Yeah. Sorry about this. Okay. Okay.
My
so.
bad.
No worry. No, it's not your fault. We'll set up. We'll get your mic. Okay. Only thus it is possible to build the confidence of the revolutionary masses throughout the country, as the Soviet Union has built it throughout the world. Only thus is it possible to create tremendous difficulties for the reactionary ruling classes, shake their foundations, and hasten their internal disintegration. Only thus it is possible to create a Red Army which will become the chief weapon for the great revolution of the future. In short, only thus it is possible to hasten the revolutionary high tide. Comrades who suffer from revolutionary impetuosity to overestimate the subjective forces of the revolution and underestimate the forces of the counter-revolution, such an appraisal stems mainly from subjectivism. In the end, it undoubtedly leads to putschism. What does that mean?
Just like you got stuck like a minute ago. I wanted to repeat it. That's why I just called it.
Go for it.
I wanted to repeat it. You just got it. Your sound got stuck.
Oh, okay. Let me start again. Okay. Comrades who suffer from impetuosity overestimate the subjective forces of the revolution and underestimate the forces of counter-revolution. Such an appraisal stems mainly from subjectivism. In the end, it undoubtedly leads to putschism.
Okay, it's this way, okay? Because as I told you before, they tried to start revolution in the city. They thought KMT was weak. They thought they can make it work, and they failed.
Because the KMT were like the white. Okay.
What is wrong? Like at least compared with those Red Army, their power was strong. They have those weapons. They have those guns. They have those cannons. They have those airplanes. What Red Army don't have? They have workers. They are workers, not warriors. It's different.
Yep. Exactly. Okay. Although the subjective forces of the revolution in China are now weak, so also are all organization. organs of political power, armed forces, political parties of the reactionary ruling classes. Resting as they do on the backward, fragile, and social and economic structure of China. This helps to explain why the revolution cannot break out at once in the countries of Western Europe, where although the subjective forces of revolution are now perhaps somewhat stronger in China, the forces of the reactionary ruling class are many times stronger. In China, the revolution will undoubtedly move towards a high tide more rapidly. Although the subjective forces of the revolution at present are weak, the forces of the counter-revolution are relatively weak too. The subjective forces of the revolution have been greatly weakened since the defeat of the revolution in 1927. The remaining forces are very small, and those comrades who judge by appearances alone naturally feel pessimistic. If we judge by essentials, it is quite another story. Here we can apply an old Chinese saying, a single spark can start a fire, a prairie fire.
Yeah. The whole sentence, the whole article, you can just put it in several words. Okay. In a nutshell, the result must be great. We can make this eventually. This is A, B, but the process is hard. It will take like God knows how many years to get this job done, but we will get it eventually.
Okay.
See, we have to be realistic. We have to be realistic to get this job done. At a different stage, we should do different things. At the start stage, we have to like start with those villagers, like organize those like peasants, something like this. But in the end, we will occupy those cities, like big cities like Shanghai, Beijing, something like this. But we have to do it step by step.
Okay.
By this and only by this, we can get the revolution done. Otherwise, it will never work.
Okay. Okay. So now, let's continue. Where was I? Single spark. Where are we? Sorry.
Also, during his time, when Mao just wrote this article, the Red Army was still small.
Yeah.
It's like he said, like the counter-revolution's power is like many times as their power. They were compared with those, they were still small. But he believes they are setting an example to the whole country. Okay.
Hold on.
Can
you turn up your volume a little bit?
I already make it like the highest one.
Okay, perfect. I made your volume the highest too. Okay, go ahead.
And yes, just because I'm talking louder than before. Because where was that before? Like
you were talking. We were at a single spark can start a prairie fire.
Because during when he just wrote this article, like Red Army was still weak, was still small compared with the Caucasians and the White Army. But he believes their action is an example for the whole nation. The mass will be awakened by seeing their action. Because they show the whole nation.
Okay.
This revolution can work.
I got it.
And
Okay.
the people can, okay, that doesn't matter. It's okay. Because the people will only follow those who can make it work.
Exactly.
That's why I have no faith in those liberals. No matter how wonderful their
liberals
look like.
Don't want a revolution, and we know this. They're just making up.
They just doesn't matter how wonderful their ideology looks like. Because they can never make it work. Why should I follow a loser?
You should not. That's my main. That's actually my main thing. You shouldn't follow. That's why I'm read Lenin and Mao, because they're not losers, and everyone else is. I'm sorry. Okay.
But everyone else, but But those liberals or those fundamental like Marxists, including like Torstwick and those like Maoist, so-called Maoists in the West, they're just talkers. They're
Yeah.
not workers. They don't want to do anything.
Nope.
So in this situation, they can never make the revolution work. They are fucking losers. That's why I don't have faith with them. I don't want to even waste my time on debating with them. Because I don't want to debate those losers. I know it's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
I'd rather just to spend the time on this, like talking to the mass, talking to your audience who think they want a revolution. I want them to talk to the mass. I want to see someday they can make an uprising in America. Because I
Yeah.
can smell the day is getting close. Because the situation is getting worse and worse.
Exactly.
Revolution only happens in one situation. When people are starving and they want change. The situation can be very bad. But if people doesn't want to change, revolution will never happen.
Exactly. So okay, let me continue. Where was I?
And by the way, my name is not Zhou Jiao. My name is Zhou Ao.
Joe out.
Ao.
Joe.
No Jiao. Zhou.
Cho. Cho out.
Yeah.
Cho
It's like,
out.
yeah, I share the same family name with Zhou Enlai, our first prime minister.
Okay. Cho out.
Yeah, so he just mispronounced my name to Zhou Jiao, so it's okay.
Who mispronounced your name?
Rock.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's not your. What did he? Okay, okay. So he. Can you type? So can you type the characters for your name so I know how to pronounce it
I-
properly?
Looking for how to type it.
Oh, no. You have to type it via WeChat, and I'll put it up.
Okay.
Um.
What
And-
means
And how would I type my name in Chinese, Esha?
it depends on how you want to.
No. Can you type it
Okay.
in the Chinese characters?
I'm trying. How about this?
Yeah, is that okay? So let me show it to people so that they know how to do it. Okay, so how do I do this? Give me 1 second. I got it. Okay. Is this it? See.
Yeah, that's one.
Okay, so that's for. Okay, cool.
So you.
Okay, so now Oh, okay. Let me just continue. Let's see. Where did I leave out? What happened to my thingy? Oh, Lord.
It's okay. I'm sorry, you're not Chinese.
Yeah. Americans are like the hardest with regards to the plan. Okay, I got it. I see it now. Okay, perfect. Let's see where. Okay. In other words, our forces. Okay, sorry. No, we got it. When we look at a thing, we must examine its essence and treat its appearance merely as an usher at the threshold. Once we cross the threshold, we must grasp the essence of the thing. And this is the only reliable scientific method of analysis. I love this quote. When we look at a thing, Americans often look just at the not the essence of the thing, but the appearance of the thing.
Yeah.
And that's why they sell the,
No only America. I'll be honest with you. European people as well.
yeah, and for like I notice this so often because that's how they fall for every stupid color revolution is because they look at the appearance. Similarly, in appraising the counter-revolutionary forces, we must never look merely at their appearance, but examine their essence. In the initial period of our independent regime in the Hunan Jiangxi border area, some comrades genuinely believed the incorrect appraisal made by the Hunan Provincial Committee regarding the class enemy as not worth a rap. What does that mean?
I want you to repeat again.
Okay. In the initial period of our independent regime in the Hunan-Kiangsi border area, some comrades genuinely believed the incorrect appraisal made by the Hunan Provincial Committee regarding the class enemy as not worth a rap.
Okay, how about this? Let me start with this. Because in China, we have a saying. You should always focus. When talking about revolution, we have this saying. You should always focus on the class, which class you belong to. Because your class already makes sure who you are working for. That's what they talk about. Look at the essential. Look at the essential. What's the essence of those movements? Because the movement is like you said, the regime built in the border of Jiangxi and Hunan, the Jinggangshan Mountain. Remember the regime I talked about before, like the Jinggangshan mountain regime.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Because when he gets to build that regime, like those comrades from international, the second international, that he should not do this. Because like communist revolution should always start in the city. We should learn from the Union. They just look at the parents, not the essential.
Exactly. Okay, got it. Let's see.
It's all about bourgeoisie plus Bolshevik.
Okay. The two descriptive terms, terribly shaky and extremely panicky, which are standing jokes to this day, were used by the Hunan Provincial Committee at the time in appraising the Hunan ruler Lu Tiping. Such an appraisal necessarily led to putschism in the political sphere. During the 4 months from November of that year to February of 1929, before the war between Chiang Kai-shek and the Guangxi warlords, when the enemy's third joint suppression expedition was approaching the Qingkang Mountains, some comrades asked the question, how long can we keep the red flag flying? As a matter of fact, the struggle in China between Britain, the United States, and Japan had become quite open, and the state of tangled warfare between Chiang Kai-shek and Guangxi clique and Feng Yuxiang was taking shape. Hence, it was actually the time when the counter-revolutionary tide had begun to ebb and the revolutionary tide to rise again. Yet, pessimistic ideas were to be found only in the Red Army, not only in the Red Army and the local party organizations. Even the Central Committee was misled by appearances and adopted a pessimistic tone. Its February letter is evidence of a pessimistic analysis made in the party at that time. The objective situation today is still that the comrades who see only the superficial appearance and not the essence of what is before them are to be liable to be misled. Yes. We need to meme this. Okay.
This is the thing. Because just like what I said before, the whole article is about this. The result is good, but the process is hard. But we will eventually get this done. So when Mao wrote this article, Red Army was like many times smaller than the counter-revolutionary army. So some people are like they don't think they can make it work. So Mao wrote this article to tell them, don't worry, we can get this work. We will eventually get this work. But the process is hard. We have to go through that hard process. And the rest of the history.
Okay.
Mao was right.
Okay, let me see, where are we? Okay, in particular, when our comrades working in the Red Army are defeated in battle or encircled or pursued by strong enemy forces, they unwittingly generalize and exaggerate their momentary, specific, and limited situation. as though the whole situation in China and the world as a whole gave no cause for optimism and the prospects of victory for the revolution were remote. The reason they seize on the appearance and brush aside the essence in their observation of things is that they have not made a scientific analysis of the essence of the overall situation. The question of whether there will be a revolutionary high China can be decided only by making detailed examination as to ascertain whether the contradictions leading to revolutionary high tide are developing. Since the contradictions developing in the world between the imperialist countries and the colonies, and between the imperialists and the proletariat in their own countries, there is an intensified need for the imperialists to contend for the domination of China. While the imperialists...
That's the thing. You should always check on the train.
Yeah.
You should always check on the train. The train that decides everything.
Yep. Okay.
If you want to stand against the will of history, that will just roll on your face.
The reason they seize... Oh, hold on. As a whole. Okay. The reason they seize on the... Okay, sorry. No. Since... Oh, okay. While the imperialist contention over China becomes more intense, both the contradiction between imperialism and the whole Chinese nation and the contradictions among the imperialists themselves develop simultaneously on Chinese soil, thereby creating the tangled warfare which is expanding and intensifying daily, giving rise to the continuous development of the contradictions among different cliques of China's reactionary rulers. In the wake of...
It's the same idea. That's why I believe the revolution we are having in America too. Because the contradiction between the people who got oppressed and those and the bourgeoisie are getting worse and worse.
In the wake of the contradictions among the reactionary ruling cliques, the tangled warfare among the warlords comes heavier taxation, which steadily sharpens the contradictions between the broad masses of the taxpayers and the reactionary ruler. That sounded a lot like America.
Yeah.
In the wake of the contradiction between imperialism and Chinese national industry comes to the failure of the Chinese industrialists to obtain concession from the imperialists, which sharpened the contradiction between the Chinese bourgeoisie and the working class, with the Chinese capitalists trying to find a way out by frantically exploiting the workers, with the workers resisting. In the wake of imperialist commercial aggression, Chinese merchant capitalist extortions, heavier government taxation comes the deepening of the contradiction between the landlord class and the peasantry, that is exploitation through rent and usury is aggravated, and the hatred of the peasants. Oh, the hatred for the landlords by the peasant grows because of the pressure of foreign.
Wait. It's just like this. See, those like homeless people, those gangs, those people from Bible Belt, those people from those belts, the hatred against those like 1% from those people are getting bigger and bigger these days.
Yep. Okay.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
That makes a.
What is thing?
Okay. Hold on. Chinese. Hold on one second. Because of the pressure of the foreign goods, the exhaustion of the purchasing power of the worker and the peasant masses, and the increase in government taxation, more and more dealers in Chinese-made goods and independent producers are being driven into bankruptcy. Because the reactionary government, though short of provisions and funds, endlessly expands its armies and constantly extends the warfare. The masses of soldiers are in a constant state of privation. That sounds very familiar.
Yeah, it does ring a bell, right?
Yeah. Because of the growth in government taxation, the rise in rent and interest demanded by the landlords, and the daily spread of the disaster of war, there are famine and banditry everywhere, and the peasant masses and the urban poor can hardly keep alive. This next sentence is going to be very familiar. Because the schools have no money, many students fear that their education may be interrupted. Because production is backwards, many graduates have no hope of employment. Once we understand all these contradictions, we shall see in what a desperate situation, in what a chaotic state China finds herself. We shall see that the high tide of the revolution against the imperialists, the landlords, and the warlords is inevitable, and it will come very soon. China is littered with dry sticks which will soon be aflame. The saying, "a single spark can start a prairie fire," is an apt description of how the current situation will develop. We need to only look at the strikes by the workers, the uprising by the peasants, the mutinies of the soldiers, and the strikes of the students, which are developing in many places, to see that it cannot be long before a spark kindles into a prairie fire.
Yeah,
Okay. So
that's what I'm talking about. The revolution is coming. It's almost on the corner. I can see it.
okay. So let me continue. Where did I lose my train of? Found it. The gist of the above was already contained in the letter from the Front Committee to the Central Committee on April 5th, 1929, which reads in part, "The Central Committee's letter makes too pessimistic an appraisal of the objective situation in our subjective forces. The Kuomintang's 3 suppression campaigns against the Qingkang Mountains was the high water mark reached by the counter-revolutionary tide. But there it stopped. Since then, the counter-revolutionary tide has gradually receded while the revolutionary tide has gradually risen. Although our party's fighting capacity and the organizational strength have been weakened to the extent described by the Central Committee, they will rapidly... They will rapidly... they will rapidly restored. And the passivity among comrades in the party will quickly disappear as the counter-revolutionary tide gradually ebbs. The masses will certainly come over to us. The Kuomintang policy of...
KMT.
Yeah,
You
the
can call
Kim...
them KMT.
Oh, there's a... Okay, in Taiwan. Okay. I know who they are. Okay, got it. Policy of massacres only serves to drive the fish into deep waters, as the saying goes, and reformism no longer has any mass appeal. It is certain that the masses will soon shed their illusions about the KMT. In the emerging situation, no other party will be able to compete with the Communist Party in winning over the masses. The political line laid down in the party's 6th National Congress are correct. The revolution at the present stage is democratic and not socialist, and the present party of the here in the words in the big city should have been added. To win over the masses and not to stage immediate insurrections. Nevertheless, the revolution will develop quickly, and we should take a positive attitude in our propaganda and prepare for armed insurrections. In present, the chaotic situation, we can lead the masses only by positive slogans and positive attitude. Only by taking that attitude can the party recover its fighting capacity. The proletarian leadership is the sole key to victory in the revolution. Building a proletarian foundation for the party and setting up party branches in the industrial enterprises in the key districts are important organizational tasks for the party. At present. But at the same time, major prerequisites for helping the struggle in the cities and to hasten the rise of the revolutionary tide are specifically in the development of the struggle in the countryside. The establishment of the Red political power in small areas, the creation and expansion of the Red Army. Therefore, it would be wrong to abandon the struggle in the cities, but in our opinion, it would be wrong for any member of our party to fear the growth of the present strength peasant strength lest it outstrip the workers' strength and harm the revolution. For in a revolution in semi-colonial China, the peasant struggle must always fail if it does not have the leadership of the workers. But the revolutionary is never harmed if the peasant struggle outstrips the forces of the workers. The letters also contain the following reply on the questions of the Red Army's operational tactics. To preserve the Red Army and arouse the masses, the Central Committee asks us to divide our forces into small units and disperse them over the country, and to withdraw from Chu Te and Mao Zedong from the army, so concealing major targets. In an unrealistic view, in the winter of 1927 to 28, we did plan to disperse our forces over to the countryside, with each company battalion operating on its own and adopting guerrilla tactics in order to arouse the masses, while trying not to present a target for the enemy. We have tried this out many times but have failed. The reasons are most of the soldiers from the main forces come from other areas and have a background different from the local Red Guards. The division of into small units resulted in a weak leadership and inability to cope with adverse circumstances and easily led to defeat. The units are liable...
See, I told you, like one of the three calls of those Mao Zedong soldiers is being independent.
Mm-hmm.
You should always focus on the local.
Exactly.
What the real situation is. Just don't take order from people outside.
Okay.
They have no chance. They have no idea what's happening there.
The more adverse the circumstances, the greater the need for concentrating our forces and for the leaders to be resolute in the struggle, because only thus can we have an internal unity against the enemy. Only in favorable circumstances is it advisable to divide our forces for guerrilla operations. It is only then that the leaders need not stay with the ranks all the time as they must in adverse circumstances. The weakness of this passage is that the reasons adduced against the division of the forces were a negative character, which was far from adequate. The positive reason for our concentrating our forces is that only concentration will enable us to wipe out comparatively large enemy units and occupy towns. Only after we have wiped out comparatively large enemy units and occupied town can we arouse the masses on a broad scale and set up political power extending over a number of adjoining counties. Only thus can we make a widespread impact, what we call extending our political influence, and contribute effectively to speeding up the day of the revolutionary high tide. For instance, both the regimes in which we set up in the Hunan-Jiangxi border area the year before and the one set up in the western Fujian last year, were products of this policy of concentrating our troops. This is the general principle. There are not times when our forces should be divided up. Yes, there are. The letter from the Front Committee to the Central Committee says the guerrilla tactics for the Red Army, including the division of forces within a short radius. The tactics we have derived from the struggle of the past 3 years are indeed different from any tactics, ancient or modern, Chinese or foreign. With our tactics, the masses can be aroused for struggle on an ever-broadening scale, and no enemy, however powerful, can cope with us. Our guerrilla tactics, they consist mainly of the following points. Divide our forces to arouse the masses, concentrate our forces to deal with the enemy. The enemy advances, we retreat. The enemy camps, we harass. The enemy tires, we attack. The enemy retreats, we pursue. What happened to him? He'll be back. Hold on, I will lower my volume. Okay, so now you can crank it up to here. Yeah. Let me lower my volume further. Okay. Okay, is this better? I can also speak like I'm on NPR. Today, on NPR Radio, it's 9 o'clock. Fresh Air with Terry Gross. Yeah, never mind. Okay. These tactics should be... Okay, I like this. The enemy advances, we retreat. The enemy camps, we harass. The enemy tires, we attack. The enemy retreats, we pursue. This is a good saying. Okay. To okay. I think you mentioned this saying yesterday, but I can't remember when.
So sorry,
The-
my connection went wrong. I just got back.
okay,
Sorry.
no worries. Okay, so I remember you told me about this saying earlier. The enemy
Wait, wait,
advances, we retreat. The enemy camps, we harass. The enemy tires, we attack. The enemy
oh,
retreats, we pursue.
that's a guerrilla war. That's a guerrilla war.
Yeah. Okay. To
We call it, yes, we call it a 16 war.
Okay. To extend the stable base. Okay. Now tell me if about so that you can crank up your volume to hear Comrade Chow. If
So,
I can. No, okay. Okay. No, no, no. Don't worry. I'll crank up your volume. Hold on. I lowered my volume and okay. Now we're probably. These tactics are just like casting a net. At the moment, we should be able to cast it or draw it in. Cast it wide to win over the masses or draw it in to deal with the enemy. Such are the tactics we have used in the past 3 years. Here, to cast a net means to divide our forces within a short radius. For example, when we first captured the county of Yuan County, we divided the forces of the 29th and 31 regiments within the boundaries of the Yongsan County. Actually, Yongsan County, where am I? Again, we captured Yongsan for the third time. Once more, we divided our forces by dispatching different regiments. And again, we divided our forces in the counties, different counties. Okay, I'm going to say. It is better not to divide our forces when this purpose cannot be attained or the division of our forces would lead to the defeat and to the weakening of the army as it happened August 2 years ago when our forces were divided in the Hunan-Jiangxi border for an attack on Chanchao. When there is no doubt that given two above-mentioned conditions, we should divide our forces because the division is more advantageous than the concentration. The Central Committee's letter was not right in spirit and had a bad effect on a number of party. At the Central Committee also issued a stating that war should not necessarily break out between the Chiang Kai-shek and the Guangxi warlords. Since then, however, the appraisals have directives of the Central Committee have been mainly correct. It has already issued another circular correcting the one containing wrong appraisal. Although it has not made any correction of the letter to the Red Army, its subsequent directives have not been couched in the same pessimistic tone, and its views on the Red Army operations now coincide with ours. Yet the bad effect which this letter had on comrades persists. Therefore, I feel the need to give some necessary explanation. Hold on. Okay, so now, any comment? Okay. The plan to take the Jiangxi province within a year was also proposed last April by the Front to the Central Committee, and a decision to that effect was later made at U2. The following reasons were given in the letter to the Central Committee. The armies of Chiang Kai-shek and the Guangxi warlords are approaching each other in the vicinity of Kukiang, and a big battle is imminent. Resumption of mass struggle coupled with the spread of contradictions among the ruling reactionary makes it probable that there will soon be a high tide of revolution. As for how our work should be arranged under the circumstances, we feel that so far southern provinces are concerned that the armed forces of the compradors and the landlords in the Huangtang and are too strong, and that in Huanan, moreover, we have lost almost all our mass following inside as well, outside the party. Because of the party's putschist mistakes, in three provinces of Fujian, Jiangxi, and Zhejiang, however, the situation is different. First, militarily, the enemy is the weakest there. In Zhejiang, there is only a small provincial force under Chiang Pa-cheng. In Fujian, although there are 4 or 5 groups of enemy troops totaling 14 regiments in all, in Kuo Feming, troops have already been smashed. Troops under Chen Kuo-huing and Liu Xingpang are bandits of the small fighting capacity, and the 2 brigades of the Marines stationed on the coast have never seen action, and their fighting capacity is undoubtedly high. Chen alone can put up some sort of fight. But according to the analysis made by the Fujian Provincial Committee, even he has two relatively strong regiments. In addition, the Fukian is now in a state of complete chaos, confusion, and disunity. Um, Actually, this seems like long. So, hold on. I'm just going to skip over the thing. Hold on. However, we should. Okay, so let's see. Well, let's go to the theory because I'm just going to skip over the thing. Okay. The, okay. Okay. How do you interpret statement? The word soon in the statement, there will be a high tide of revolution. This is a common question among comrades. Marxists are not fortune tellers. They should and indeed can only direct general directions of future developments and changes. They should not and cannot fix the day and the hour in a mechanistic way. But when I say there will soon be a high tide of revolution in China, I am emphatically not speaking of something in which the words of the people is possibly coming soon, something illusory, something unattainable, and devoid of significance for action. It is like a ship far out at sea, whose masthead can already be seen from shore. It is like a morning sun in the east, whose shimmering rays are visible at the high mountain top. It is like a child about to be born, moving restlessly in the mother's womb. I like that a lot, the last one. It is
Yeah.
like and even Marx and Lenin also explained how the party was like a child being born from like the mother's womb. So, yeah, well,
The thing is, just like what Mao said, we are not a fortune teller, but we can make our own judgment based on the facts, based on the trend. We can see the trend. That's all. Because like you saw the sun from upper earth, you saw the when you see the sunrise from the east on the mountain. Basically, you just see the trend. You don't see it like it's already on the sky. No, you just see the trend.
exactly. And let's see. So, yeah. Well, thank you so much, and we'll be back next week. Are you at 9 o'clock in the morning for Mondays with Mao? Let's make it more international and change Monday mornings with Mao to just Mondays with Mao because I hope it's Monday everywhere.
Yeah, almost. I guess it's so. I will be there next week. Take it easy. You will see my stupid face next week.
Okay, you'll get a mic next week. Okay, so with that, Slobodu narodu smrti fašizmu.
До свидания.